President, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Mr. President, when do you plan to sign the agreement? At least I know that they're going bankruptcy today. Do you plan to do that this afternoon?
They're negotiating, and I assume there will be something later on today, maybe tonight. It could go till the morning. I'm not sure. It depends on the negotiations.
Mr. President, we've heard some dissatisfaction from the UMass Boston community with this deal. Is there a rift there that needs to be repaired?
Well, certainly we need to work with the UMass Boston community to reassure them that this will in no way hurt the Boston campus. And I think you heard the testimony today. There are no plans to have anything that will compete with the Boston campus. I think the most important thing for the Boston campus is to select a new chancellor, and there are 3 candidates there, and to move forward. As I mentioned, UMass Amherst is acquiring this property for internships and co-ops. They're not going to admit students, and it won't compete with the Boston campus.
How would this benefit the Boston campus, though?
Well, if there can be a collaboration for internships, or if there's something that the business center is doing at UMass Boston, it's going to be up to the Boston campus to look at different ways that they could potentially utilize the campus. But UMass Boston had the opportunity to acquire this campus if they wanted to.
Maura Healey is investigating some leaders at Mount Ida about whether they met their fiduciary obligations. If you were in the President Barry Brown, if you were in his shoes, would you have handled it differently, or would you have done it the same?
I'm not going to comment on that. I think the most important thing for the University of Massachusetts was to try to accommodate as many students as we could, and to try to do what's in the interest of all 5 of our campuses at the University of Massachusetts. And I think in the long run, in a year or two, people will look at this and say this was in the interest not only of UMass Amherst, but all of the campuses.
What is your reaction to the vote by the staff at UMass Boston?
I'm going to continue to work with the faculty, the core of UMass Boston. As I say, we're in the final stages of the search for a new chancellor, and I look forward to UMass Boston continuing to grow and continuing to do well.
Have you reached out to the faculty there to restore restore trust?
Pardon me?
Have you reached out to the faculty at UMass Boston?
I was at the Boston campus. Yes, I've been out to the Boston campus a lot.
And what did you tell them?
Folks. I told them pretty much what we said today at the hearing.
And how is the fluctuation around UMass Amherst and Mount Ida impacting the chancellorship search? Has that been coming up at all?
Certainly in the public meetings with the campus, there are discussions about it. Certainly comes up when I have discussions with folks at UMass Boston, and we're going to continue to have those discussions. A lot of times at universities there's misinformation that goes back and forth, and we're going to try to clarify the misinformation and do everything we can to support UMass Boston in the search process and to get a new chancellor, and I'm confident we will.
Any misinformation in particular you noticed in this?
There's a lot, an awful lot.
Marty Walsh talked about potentially taking over UMass Boston, and Steve Lynch, apparently your former colleague, seemed to back him up on that notion. Any reaction to that?
Well, that would be significant debt to acquire, but look, I think UMass Boston has a great future. I mentioned the fact that enrollment is up. Summer school enrollment for this summer is up 30%. I think UMass Boston is going to be in great shape.
What kinds of standards do you think should be put in place around future transactions? What would you need?
Each case is taken on an individual basis. A campus has an acquisition. They come to the Board of Trustees. They come to the President's office. They're evaluated. They're made available for the other chancellors to comment on in what's called President's Council meetings, and we'll continue to follow that procedure in the future.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.